Good evening, everyone. Welcome along. It's a Tuesday and it's 8 o'clock. In fact, it's 1 minute past 8, although I am getting closer to that 8 o'clock start time. Hope that you're well. Hope you've had a great day today. And welcome along to Actors Talks. Another one goes. Last night, loved it. Absolutely brilliant with the brilliant Kate Sykes and also Kate Davis Speak, who was on as well, speaking about all the collaboration with Lara Croft. It was just magnificent. So if you haven't seen that, make sure that you do watch again on the IGTV. Yeah, let us know how you're getting on in the comments. We'll give you a shout out. And if you've got any questions for tonight's guest, just give us a shout out. It'd be great. You may have also noticed that this week I haven't done a lineup of guests. I will get around to that, but tonight's guest is a brand new guest that we've only got in contact today. We just had somebody who had to cancel, so they thankfully and very kindly stepped in and helped us out. So yeah, brand new guest tonight, and as always, or 99% of the time on Actors Talks, I don't meet the people, I don't really know them. We'll maybe have a little text message, but tonight's guest I don't know at all. We have a mutual friend who's in a play. They're in a play together, so it's great. So just a couple of little housekeeping things. Remember, if you want to share tonight's Actors Talk, there's a little arrow there. I think it's like an aeroplane thing. You can share that with somebody else. If you click on it, and you can choose people to share with, so you can be very selective who you share with. If you've got a question to ask, ask in the comments, because tonight I've got in a charity button, and you can donate to Macmillan Cancer tonight. So Instagram won't let you have that button on and ask box questions, but you can ask questions in the comments, and we'll get around to them and answer them as well. Brilliant. So it's all good, all good. Nice to have new guests on, and picture and sound is great. Thank you very much, Carl. Good, Carl's there. Ben, good to see you, Mr. Ben. Is it Howarth, Ben? I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Ben and I will be working together over the summer. We'll be touring in Sherlock Holmes and also 12th Night. We have a bit of a well, I'm looking forward to it, Ben. It's going to be good. We have a little bit of a partnership going in 12th Night, which would be great. Can't wait to do it. There's Gillian on as well. Good, great to see you, Gillian. See, I act and work fast. I don't mess around. Paulie Harris, good to see you there as well. Long time coming. Good to see you, Charlotte. Good to see you. Charlotte will be our guest on Friday, I believe. Charlotte, you have to tell me about that. Remind me there. Good. Bad Boy 1964 Zero is on as well. Good to see you. Carl, first on tonight. Very, very good. Good stuff. So just waiting to see. In fact, Gillian, if you're on tonight, you might want to jump on the chat as well, and then we'll see. So we're just waiting for tonight's guest to come on, and then we'll go there. Yes, Paul has sent me some great James Bond links. I haven't had a chance to see them all. But yeah, we'll be there in that. Yeah, so Charlotte's on there. Charlotte Ellis Acts. She says, hi guys. Oh yes, guys. See you on Friday. So that will be brilliant. Can't wait to see that. Because Charlotte, I believe that you're quite a new actress. So yeah, it'll be great to get your energy on the show on Friday, which would be great. Zanara Films, I think that is. Good to see you there. Good. So we're just waiting on our guest to come on. I don't know whether they're actually on yet. Let's see. Connor Hutton, good to see you there as well. All good. So what have you been up to today? Have you done something to forward or push forward your acting career? I've been line learning today, which is sort of pushing forward my career. That's more on the show side of things, and I must admit I haven't done that much today to push my career forward. I've done a couple of tweets. I'm not normally that much on Twitter, but today I have been on Twitter. And also, I'm a bit of a casual day today. I haven't got any fancy shirt on today, and I've also put my glasses on because I've been working and my eyes are a little bit tired at the moment. So I've got my Harry Hill specials on. Good. By the way, if you've got any great people to follow, just let us know, and that will be brilliant, and put them in the links there, and we can all follow them, and that will be terrific. Good. So I think tonight's guest is having a little bit of trouble getting on there. So Gillian, if you're still watching, hopefully you are, if you want to give Saskia a quick call and help her get on, then that would be great. And then maybe all three of us can have a little chat, because I do like it when there's a lot of people on there. Hey! Okay, so here's Gillian, and she's got a view request. I'm going to get her on there. Ooh. So, ladies and gentlemen, guest has been on before, but welcome. Let's hear it for Gillian. Is she coming on there? Yeah, there she is. We've got you there, Gillian, but you're frozen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Unexpected. I don't know why I can't call her and then do this at the same time, but let me send her a message.
Hang on, I think she's on. I think she's on. Yes, she is.
Is she
yeah,
on?
Yeah. I'm going to wave.
Thanks for having her, Mark.
Hey, you know, well, it's funny how things work out, isn't it? Because I had a guest that couldn't make it tonight, and then suddenly,
I thought so, yeah.
Suddenly I thought, hey, that's great. Everything works in. So I've just sent her a request, and hopefully we can get her on there. Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Of course. I mean, doing this. Saskia's writing is amazing. There she is.
Hello.
Saskia, you made it. Welcome.
Yeah, sorry, I've never done this before, so there were many buttons to press.
You're doing great, and you're here now. That's all that counts. So you two obviously know each other. Saskia, it's the first time we've met, and it's an absolute delight. My apologies, I don't know how to say your surname. Would you mind pronouncing it for us?
Yeah, well, because I'm German, it's Vesnik.
Vesnik.
So it's a V.
Okay.
Yes, that's it. Perfect.
See, I'd have got that wrong. I'd have said Westnik, so it's Vesnik. Yeah, and it's.
But I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't mind the W, the soft W. It's fine.
Yeah. So, and it's a double barrel, doesn't it? It's Vesnik.
Wood.
Vesnik wood. That's
wood.
it. Yeah. Cool. I get it. Oh, so is that Wood?
No, that's my English husband's name. So his name's Wood.
Isn't
that annoying?
You're confusing my little brain now. That's it. Listen, it's great.
Just say it with two soft W's. It's fine. I'm used to it now.
Thank you very much.
Been here long enough.
Yeah. It's great.
I'll leave you to it.
Yeah.
I'll leave you to it.
Oh, okay, Gillian. We'll come back on later on.
I'll stay on. Well, the screen, you know. I'll leave you to it, Saskia, but I will be tuning in.
We'll get you back on later.
How do I? Oh, I'll just press my X, is it?
Yes.
Press my. Okay.
See, she was in there. She was there. She's gone. She's there. She's gone. Saskia, thank you so much for coming on at such short notice as well. So we've never met, but I know Gillian, and she has been singing your praises about how amazing you are. So could you tell everyone a little bit about the project that you're doing together, please?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm a writer and a director. I've worked in professional theatre for many years, and I've done a lot of amateur work as well in community theatre. And during lockdown, especially, I wrote and wrote and wrote, because it's my way of dealing with worries. And also people have been telling me their stories all the time. And I've been hearing sentences that were so strong that I had to write about them. Like one older woman said to me on the phone, I see this woman with a face like a slapped ass. And I thought, who is she being so rude about? And it was her in the mirror. She was so frustrated she was living on her own, and she was just getting so fed up with that face that looked at her. So I wrote a whole monologue, a bit like the Talking Heads, you know, the famous, not that I'm that good, but I'm trying. And so I wrote every day, especially last February, and around Valentine's Day, I just wrote and wrote and wrote. And another friend of mine told me that she was meeting a man in the park in the middle of lockdown, and he had traveled down from London. I was absolutely horrified. So I wrote that scene. I've never told her. I'm a bit worried that she will come and see the play and be shocked that I have stolen her story. So there were all these stories, and I kept writing them as a play. And then I took them round all the online actors reading groups, because of course when actors get bored they go on Zoom and read plays together. And Gillian was one of the people who read a few, along with Martina and Olivia. And then there was Claire on a different Zoom, who said, I'm desperately looking for a play to go in the Fringe, because we already have half an evening, we need to fill in the other half. So again, I went, well, there's something here. Do you want to read it? And then she said, yes, she wanted to do it as well. Then the other play fell apart. And I said, well, I've got enough for a whole evening. And we put 7 scenes together because there are about 20 that I wrote, but we decided for these 7 because they're all a little bit funny. Some of them are so desperately sad, I just didn't want to hear them again. So, long story short, we now have a 1 hour, if we speak very quickly, a 1 hour show at Sweet Venues in the Fringe in Brighton.
That is amazing, and isn't it sort of magical that things come together? I always think it's like alchemy with writing, that it comes together, and then suddenly fate takes over, and one thing happens, and so that is just amazing. So, forgive my ignorance. When does the Brighton Fringe Festival begin? So when will it be on?
It is in June. All of June is Brighton Fringe Festival, and our show is on the 4th, the 5th, the 6th of June. And then one more time on the 14th. But we're hoping to take it on tour and maybe even fill in a few of the gaps in between.
Yeah,
there are 5 actors in my show, so I do need, to get them all there at the same time. We do need a bit of preparation. We can't just pull it out of the bag at any given moment.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic that you're also thinking about taking it on tour. That'll be brilliant. Is it something that people will have to pay for, or is it part of the Fringe entry?
Well,
can they
the Fringe, the tickets cost £8 or £12, depending on what you can afford, because the venue, of course, needs some money. I've already paid quite a whack for the hire of the venue and to be part of the Fringe. That's not free. And of course, I would love to pay the actors. The thing about Fringe is often actors work for next to nothing, which is lovely of them, but is totally not fair, because art is work and acting is work and directing and writing is work. So they're giving so much time, and they're even traveling. Not everybody lives in Brighton. Martina lives in London and Olivia lives in Battle. And my male actor, John, he lives in Seaford. So they're all driving to Brighton to rehearse right now in somebody's garden, socially distant.
Of course, yeah.
For nothing. So far they're just giving me their time and their energy and their wonderful enthusiasm.
Man,
because they believe in our project.
That's amazing. Gillian said they're sold out. You're sold out on the 4th and 5th. So get your tickets on the 6th and the 14th. Wow, that's brilliant that you're sold out there. Are you doing a sort of a fundraising page, like a GoFundMe or anything like that?
Yes, we are on a brand new fundraising with a brand new fundraising group. And green something. Oh gosh, I've forgotten because it's not up yet, and I'm not the producer.
Well, don't worry. If you give me it later, if you give me it later, I'll put it in the link there. That would be great.
Gillian will know. She can text you and let you know.
Oh yeah, Gillian's amazing. She's on it all the time. It's great.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your writing. How did you get into that?
It sounds a bit hoity-toity, but I've always written from when I was a child, and I was very lucky. My mother was a teacher of literature, so she really pushed me, and she always said write, and I was obsessed with theatre. So as soon as I could, I started as an actor, but I found I wanted to write plays and direct them. And luckily, I studied literature, but I got a job in a professional theatre in Germany, and I just kept writing. So I had a small career as a playwright in Germany, but also because I've always been fluent in English, I grew up bilingually, I translated lots and lots of plays, and I translated operas as well.
Wow.
Operas, not just the story, but so they could be sung in either German or English. I've translated both directions. So it's just something I've always done, and always when I had a situation in my head or a problem, I would write a short story or sometimes even a poem, but never to be read out loud. But I think lots of people do that, but I just kept doing it, and people read it and said, yes, this is worth having, and put me in competitions and so on. And
that's amazing. Do you find that your writing now is part of you, is part of your day? Is it something you have to do daily, or do you need to be inspired by something to do it, or what's your process for that?
Well, I have a very full life, so I don't write daily because I have a family, I have a dog, I have an allotment. So I've got to do all that. I've got my job. But in February, and this is one of the reasons why I wrote so much, I was part of a challenge. It's called the Literal Challenge, and you write a play a day.
Wow.
And I've done that many, many times already. And it's, of course, it's not a full 5-act, Shakespearean play. It is whatever you want to call a play. And you pay some money up front to be part of the challenge. And not a lot. I mean, it used to be an amount, but during lockdown, they said it's however much you can afford. And then every night at 10 o'clock, they send you a brief. And then you have that day and a half to write it and email it back. And you don't have to follow the brief. It's just to help you think if you're uninspired. And sometimes the brief is write a play that is exactly 1 minute long. And there has to be a reason why it's 1 minute long. Or they give you a really complicated brief, like you have 5 people and they're all like this, and everything he says starts with the letter Y, and you can only have 91 words in each speech. And
wow.
So when I first did it, I followed the brief to the second, which was really good fun. But this year, I had other things going on in my head, so I basically ignored the brief, but I wrote every day. And I used what people told me.
Yeah, so that's like an amazing discipline. It's almost like improvisation for writers, I suppose.
It is a bit, you're right, because you haven't got time to go over it again and again. You hammer it into the computer and...
I hope you're still there. There. What was the last thing that you said?
Some people write in the computer, some people write by hand and photograph the text.
Okay.
So yeah. I wrote one scene sitting in my car with a laptop on my lap, waiting for my daughter to come out of hospital because she'd broken her ankle and I wasn't allowed in. So I sat outside, but the deadline was looming, and I sat and wrote a play about a woman who talks to her car, and that play is in the show.
Oh my goodness, this is just incredible.
It's very rude.
Yeah, it's just just incredible insights into it. Can you tell us about some of the other stories that are in there, and maybe some of not the stories themselves, but maybe some of the inspirations behind them, because we want people to go and see it, obviously.
Yeah, one of the stories is that I went to get my first jab in, I think it must have been February, because I wrote it in February. And it was in the Brighton Centre, which is, of course, a bit like a cattle market, and everybody went in through the one-way system. And when I sat down with the doctor, she did the deed. And I said, gosh, you're amazing. Because, I was so relieved and happy. And she said, most people don't even talk to me. Shout. So I shouted, you are amazing. And she said, thank you. It's about time somebody said that. So then that day I went home and I wrote a story about that. But I had this idea that somebody might be really, really frightened to have the jab and then fall in love with the doctor, because nobody has even touched a man, in this case, for a year. And first he just tries to get away, and then the doctor swaps his arm and he just goes, oh, you.
Love it.
I sent this to my friend in Canada, who is a professor actually of medicine, but she was doing the jabs, and she said, a play about me. She said, it is so right. This is exactly what's been happening. So that was fun.
Man, that is just great inspirations. And you were saying that the way, sorry, we will come back to the other ones. I was just intrigued that how do you, as a writer, put the actors to the stories? Is it you that's done the casting, or were you happy with people that just read the play? Oh, I think Saskia is having a little problem with her Wi-Fi tonight, which is such a shame. Such a shame. Are you there? Brighton, while we're waiting, he says, are you there, Saskia?
There.
I think sometimes if you get a message, sometimes your phone can freeze, but you're back now. So what I was saying about the stories that you've written, how do you link the actors together? Are you just happy with people that read them, or is it a casting, or do you think that do the writers find, do the actors find the writing, or do the writers find the acting? How does that work?
I think it totally depends on the show and who pays the money. I mean, my last show, I was given everybody in it. You're directing it, but these are the people, because the producer just said, you know, this is the show, can you please make it happen?
Yeah.
But in this, because I was offering my writing online on the actors' Zooms, I was just so happy that all these wonderful women said, we really like what you've written, can we put it on? So I had them handed to me on a silver platter. Lovely Gillian, Claire, well, it was Gillian, Martina and Olivia on one Zoom, and then it was Claire on a completely different one who said, I'm producing this show, and can we have some of your plays in it? And then that other show fell apart, and Claire stayed. And funnily enough, Claire had auditioned for me for a show I did in the Brighton Fringe 3 years ago, which was called The Manifestation of Trim Tab Jim. And she didn't get the part because, you know, it was quite a big audition, but I remembered her very well. And so I had these 4 wonderful women, and all we needed was a man. And luckily, on many, many Zooms, there had been this wonderful actor called John, who really stood out among all the men reading. So I texted him privately and I said, hello, we're doing these plays that you helped read. Would you be interested? And very luckily, he said yes. So, but it's, like I said, it's different every time. I used to work with amateurs and we would write to our strength. So one guy always wanted to play the baddie, and we wrote our own shows. So we wrote him a baddie so he would be good and have fun.
Yeah, so to actors watching out there now and in the future, let that be a lesson to you, that if you don't get a part, that writers or casting, they remember you for future parts. So don't, it's never a no, it's just a not yet. That's absolutely brilliant. Brian, who I think is down in the Brighton area, says, I'm so looking forward to seeing this production in the Fringe. I've heard so much about it, which is amazing. Good. Tina Green, she says, the pieces are awesome. Saskia's writing is just brilliant. High praise indeed. And then Gillian says, I'm playing that doctor. Yeah, love it.
Lovely.
Yeah. So Saskia, the way Gillian and I know each other is I was a scene partner in one of Gillian's show reels, which is great. So, and obviously Gillian does her own radio show. So yeah, it's great around that. So in terms of your writing, do you have a certain style, or do you like mixing it up? Is there a genre that you prefer, you know, or is it literally just what comes into your head?
A bit of both. These are quite realistic, apart from the talking car, but even the car talks like you would expect the car to talk. And a friend of mine who watches plays but doesn't write, he listened to one of the rehearsals very early on and he said, I see, so playwriting is just you write down how people speak. And I thought, yeah, it is, but you try and sort of elevate it a little bit. So it, you know, you try to take out the boring bit and put some, I try to put some echoes in. If you watch the whole show, you will go, oh yeah, that goes with that. So I have a certain, I wouldn't call it repetitive, but I just like echoes. I like people going, yeah, that's written by the same person, something like that.
Okay, yes.
But I also...
Sorry, no, after you.
I like writing in rhyme or rhythm. And if I read somebody else, and again, this sounds very hoity-toity, if I read a lot of Shakespeare, I start thinking in iambic pentameters. It just happens. It's not as good as Shakespeare, but the rhythm is there. It just, my brain starts doing that. So depending on what I've lately been reading, I am very influenced by it. And sometimes I have to be careful not suddenly to not sound like me anymore because I'm copying somebody else. Yeah,
it's a really interesting thing. And I think from an actor's point of view as well, I think because we receive so much, and obviously as a writer, it must be the same. We're very influenced by the things that we watch. I know that if I've got a certain part, I'll watch certain films and things just to maybe get a feel, and then you become that. I think one of the dangers is, as an actor, that you get a residual that maybe carries over, into something else. So you'd sort of have to, I put it down to like cleansing your palate after tasting a wine, you know, something like that. But yeah, it's great. So is there a genre that you prefer in your writing?
I prefer realism. I'm sure I do.
Yeah.
I mean, very often in the end, people say, you directed that. It didn't look directed. And that is sort of one of my aims, that it doesn't look heavy-handed.
Yes.
You know, that nobody goes, oh yeah, you pushed that and you made that happen. It just looks the only way possible.
Yeah,
even though I worked really hard to make it look like this is the only possible way the scene could have gone.
Yeah.
Because we tried all the others and found the right one. But as soon as the audience thinks, oh, that bit's been directed, they wouldn't normally do that, then I don't like it.
Yeah.
Unless it's something, you know, completely out of this world where you might want to do that.
And do you find that you lose audiences as well when they see the magic sort of thing, or they see how it's done, or it's too forced? Do you find that you lose them?
Well, I would expect I would lose them.
Yeah.
Being in the profession, of course, I see a lot of things that the average watcher wouldn't see. I mean, same on television.
Yes, yeah.
I'm always saying to my husband, oh, look, they just did that. And he said, what are you talking about? And I also often predict what's going to happen next, because I've worked on film a lot as well. So I always see the camera move.
Yeah.
And I always see continuity. So as soon as somebody has a glass or a cigarette, I go, how long is that cigarette going to be in the next, you know, in the counter shot, etc. So I find it very difficult to step back and go, what's really, you know, enjoy the story. But I hate it when the audience goes, what happened there? That doesn't fit in the story. That should never happen.
Yeah, it's very annoying. I think it's annoying for the people around us, and I find it annoying for myself when I'm the same as you. You know, watching for things and looking and maybe not getting the story because you're too fixated on the structure or whatever it may be. It's crazy. Now it's quite. I don't so much say it's so unusual, but for a writer to direct, my first question is, how does it feel when an actor takes your work from the page? Because I always think, obviously I'm a man, I don't give birth, but I always think of it like a birth and going, you're giving a baby away or watching a baby grow up. How does that feel?
Well, when I worked with amateurs, we all wrote pantos together. So that was very organic, and we all contributed and we discussed it. So that was quite easy. But with especially this lot, because I wrote them all alone, in a really emotional situation. So the first time I put them on this Zoom, I had to go, oops, sorry, are we still there?
Wait, yes. You're here. I
had to go to the toilet 3 times. I was so nervous. I was frightened that people would just read half of one and go, can we read something else now? Go away, Saskia. I was so frightened. And afterwards, when Gillian, Olivia, and Martina said, these are really great, we want to do them, I was sky high. I was absolutely floating. It was just so wonderful, because I felt that written into this vacuum. And you know, it came back at me that this is actually worthwhile. And now that they're speaking my lines and making them their own, sometimes, for example, there's this wonderful line, yes, I know it's boring when I tell you my dreams. But Olivia says, I know it's boring when I tell you my dreams. Yeah? Which he tells her his dreams all the time. And she goes, yes, darling, how interesting. That I did not write that, except, of course, I did write that. I once wrote, Lady Chatterley, you've come at last. And I didn't realize what I'd written until it was said in the first rehearsal, and everybody started to scream. So I wouldn't say it's quite like giving birth, but it is incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
And a bit scary. And then so wonderful when they love it, and when they say this, you know, stuff happens that you didn't even know you'd written. It's great.
Yeah. It's interesting when you said there, I didn't write it, but I did. You know, the inference maybe wasn't there, but you've put those on there, and it is it's amazing. As an actor, sometimes I love the writer to be there, because you've then got a direct, it's like having a direct line to a higher creativity, because you sort of know what they exactly wanted. It takes the guesswork out of it. And then other times you know, if the writing or isn't too fixed, it's quite difficult to go, right, I'm just feeling my way here with this, and the writer's there watching, and most of the writers that have been there have been great, you know, and maybe not even offered any guidance, and I think it's a great mix. But the other thing that you've added on, the other layer, is obviously directing your own work as well. So
Yes.
what is the connection, and how does that feel?
It makes it more difficult for my actors because almost everyone in this play is somebody I already know. So I've written most of this about real people. Some of them are me, which makes it even worse, or me exalted into another situation. So of course, when I first wrote it, I knew exactly what all this was going to look like. And it wasn't on a stage, it was a film in my head. I've written it like a play, but I saw it like a film, but with far too many words because it's a play. So now I'm stepping back and allowing these 5 wonderful actors to take my characters and make them their own. And of course, it's still my ideas and my vision, but I'm really, really open to their ideas and their interpretation because it adds to it. But if they go totally in the wrong direction or in a direction that doesn't make me very happy, then I am able to say, can we try it this way, and hopefully convince them that I'm right and that they'll do it my way.
I think the amount of clout that you've got,
mine.
Writer, director, I don't think they're going to go against you. I think you'll be pretty safe. What you say goes. It's brilliant.
The buck stops with me.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm not that strict. You know, if they say this sentence feels better, or if they just keep saying it in their own way, then I will say, yeah, you know this character better than I do now, so say it your way.
Yeah.
Except for the bit where they quote Shakespeare, they have to get that right.
Yes, yeah. Because there's always the one person in the audience with the book.
Well, not in this case, but one day I'll be published.
Yeah. We'll come back to the publishing. Remind me of that. But you mentioned there about the way you write. You see and you visualize it as a film, although it was a play. Would you like to write for screen, or indeed have you written for screen?
I have written for screen. It hasn't been filmed, but there exist 15 scripts, film scripts, in my computer right next to me here.
Wow.
And, I would love for some of my work to be considered for film.
So,
well, actually, 3 of these scripts that we're now doing were optioned, I would say, by a local filmmaker, and I had to take them away from him again because we are now producing them ourselves. And he said, these are funny, I want them. And first I said, yes, but I want a contract. And he said, no, you don't need a contract. And I said, no, you can't have them without a contract.
Yeah.
And then I said, look, you can't have them at all because we're now taking them on tour.
Man, that's amazing. So is that an evolution for you to maybe collaborate with a filmmaker and have them made? Is that something you're looking to?
Yeah, that would be great. I used to work as a director's assistant on films in Germany mainly. Well, exclusively in Germany.
Yeah.
But yeah, not since I've moved to England. I would love it.
Yeah. I love live theatre. I think it's great. But is it different? And obviously there is a difference in writing for screen and theatre. Although the essence is probably the same, it's quite a different skill, isn't it, to be able to, write. What are some of the differences and indeed skill sets?
Well, I would say if I was writing for film, I would use a lot fewer words because you can show a lot more than you can say in a film. And I used to teach at Bournemouth University. I used to teach the young film students how to work with actors. And we worked a lot on saying very, very little and giving very few facial expressions. Whereas on stage, especially in a big theatre, you need to project so much more. And they were all using their best friends to star in their films. And I said, well, you have to teach them, not to over-emote, which has nothing to do with the writing. But yes, you have to reduce the writing.
Yeah. You've got some new fans already. You've got Raya Like Fire there. She says, got some actors here open to collaboration. And I think there's a little hand going up said, yeah, I'll do it. Brighton says that you seem very liberated for a writer-director. Many I've worked with have been extremely anal. It's funny, isn't it? I think that having that freedom and having that liberation of something of your own to let it go and into the world is incredibly frightening, I can imagine, but also incredibly freeing to see what it grows up into and everything.
I have actually worked, when I worked in German theatre, we did a play by Eugene O'Neill, who at that point luckily wasn't alive anymore. And the play, I think in its original form, was 7 hours long. And we had to reduce it to 4.5, which is still quite a long evening, as you can imagine. And it was mainly my job to edit it down. So it was still the same play, the same story, just 2 hours less. And I was thinking, poor Eugene O'Neill, he made all this effort. It was a touch of the poet. A very wonderfully crazy play.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not really answering your question.
No.
It's hard as a writer to let go, and then other people mangle your play to shreds. Translations as well. I was working on Wallace Shawn, The Fever, the German premiere of it. And I was director's assistant on that. And the director said, get the English text next to the German text and check every word. And I kept finding mistakes in the translation. And we went back to the publisher and said, this isn't correctly translated. And they basically took my head off. They were so cross. And then a fax came that goes to show how long ago that was, from Wallace Shawn in New York. He said, I have sat here with a German person and we've looked at the translation and here are the errors we spotted. And I was vindicated.
Yeah.
And then Wallace Shawn came to Hamburg to see the show and he said to me, thank you for rescuing my play.
How amazing is that? Come on, that's amazing. Speak to me about the publishing side of things, because I think writing now is although it's still undervalued, and that's only my own view. I think it's more in the ascension, but still, writers' works. It's extremely difficult to get a writer and then getting published and protecting your own work and things like that. What is the thought and the feeling around that? Particularly yours. How do you copyright your work, and B, how difficult is it getting it published without having to self-publish it?
Yeah, honestly, it's very difficult. Ideally, you'd have an agent, because you just send your stuff out there and it goes into the slush pile. Nobody even reads it. On the other hand, there are multiple competitions all over the world that you could just keep sending to. And if you're lucky, somebody will pick it up. And there are also quite a few websites of theatres. Well, I don't know if they're theatres, but where you can just put lots and lots of plays up. And a very short, how many people, what is it about, how long is it? And then folks who are looking for plays will go to that website and look. And once you start hunting, there are millions out there. So I'm not really happy to put mine in there, because I don't want to be 5 in a million or even 90 in a million, because I think they're just going to vanish. But I'm on all these Facebook groups, etc., of writers, and they all go, yeah, well, I'm in New Zealand and I'm in Canada and wherever, and my play was just done on the radio. So we start really, really small. But if you're lucky, somebody goes, I like this voice, let's see what else they have to offer. But yeah, I'm not Jed Mercurio. I have no idea how to get in there. But having said that, I sometimes listen to a comedy show, for example, on the radio, and I go, and they got paid for that? This is rubbish. So I'm very full of myself sometimes.
Yeah. Would you say that, so there's obviously in acting, there's the two sides of the show business, and I'm sure it's the same in writing, there's the writing part and the business part. Are you actively, obviously you're putting the play on, which is amazing, but are you actively pushing your own work? Do you go to publicists and things like that? Yeah.
No. I did it for a while, and then I sort of lost my mojo a bit and stopped, and I'm sort of feeling maybe now on top of this, this success, this positive feedback, maybe I should try again, but no.
Yeah, because
I haven't done that.
Saskia, when you're hot, you're hot. and you know, you've got to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to keep putting yourself out there.
yeah.
And yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
you never know. Somebody
I'd like an agent to do that for me.
Yeah, well, somebody may be watching this and go there. You know, in terms of originality and ideas, do you find it hard to come up with something that is original? I know, and I'm trying to translate this over to acting and backwards and forwards. Quite often you'll see a performance of something and people would instantly liken it to something else or go, oh yeah, that's like, which drives me crazy. You know, how does it work in the writing world, you know, for originality of ideas? Is it something that you struggle with? Is it something you start and go, oh no, I've done that? Or how does that, you know, how does that go with you?
Yeah. Well, when I was writing a play a day, I found some days I was not inspired, and I would go and talk to people and say, come on, give me something, give me something. And other days it would just be there, and I would really just write it immediately without hesitation. So it's different every day. But in principle, I would say I can write about anything at any time, because I can just, you know, I don't have the white page syndrome. If there's a white page, I will put something on it. I'm not that precious. And if it's rubbish, it's rubbish. I can correct it. Don't get it right, get it written. Is my mantra.
Oh, I like it.
I didn't invent that. It's a very famous saying.
Yeah, but I like it.
But even if I'm working with somebody and they say, oh God, we need whatever, you know, we need a structure. What are we going to do? I will just write something down, because then you have something to discuss that you can go, okay, this bit's good, that bit's not going to work. If we move that to there and fill this bit in. So it's always easier to just have something to work with, and then starts the real work, then starts the editing.
Yeah.
But if I feel good, I can write for 2 hours straight and something will come out.
Man, that's amazing. And do you think that that's with just the years of discipline and the years of writing? And do you go stale if you don't write?
Sometimes I don't write for weeks, except in my diary and emails to my friends and so on. Yeah. I mean, except on weekends when I leave the computer off if I can. I am writing letters. You know, I'm one of those old-fashioned people. I write long letters to my friends because I left so many friends in Germany who want to hear from me, and we have proper conversations. And then, yeah, if I want to write, I write. If I don't, I don't. There's no urgency.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept you say about writing letters and emails, because there's a temporal quality to letters, isn't there? You know, the receiving and the sending, and there's a time space between them. When you write, do you? I've got a friend who's a writer, and he puts some things away, and he maybe won't look at them for a little while, and then he'll go back to them and see them with sort of fresh eyes. Is that something that you do as well?
Yeah. I've written a whole book, and I reread some of it the other day, and I could not remember writing it.
Yeah.
I could not even remember thinking it. I was so surprised. I said, "This really? Where did that come from?"
And was it good?
I had no memory of it whatsoever.
Was it good?
I can't tell you. I forgot it again.
But I think, you know, when you do things like that, that proves to me, you know, because there's some performances I think, did I do that? Or, you know, I can't even remember at the minute. But I think that's when you're in a moment of creativity, that you're just in flow, and it's not like an awareness, is it? You know? Yeah.
I have so many projects that I've started. I have notebooks right above me here, are about 10 notebooks with half finished or 10% finished ideas, and in my computer there are so many novels I started, short stories. Well, short stories I usually finish, because I don't write a short story until it's finished in my head, and then I write it in one go usually. But yeah, I have 1,000 ideas every day. I have ideas, and I go, I should write this down. This would be worth developing. But
Yeah.
You don't always have time for that.
No. Time is always the enemy. Time is always the enemy. Do you collaborate
But yeah,
with?
if anything, I have too many ideas, rather than not enough.
Can you surely you can't have too many ideas? That's not a thing, is it?
God, yes, I can. My brain just goes ding, 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 ding constantly. Everything I see, if I overhear half the sentence, that my brain gives me a story. Why did that person say that?
Man, but that's
without fail.
That's a gift, surely. It's
a bit annoying to people around me, because we're driving. My husband says, "Now, why did he do that?" And I go, "Well, because." And then I have 3 reasons why. The car in front of us the driver did whatever he did.
Oh man, it's brilliant. Do people come to you with ideas as well for you to develop and write it? So, for instance, if an actor it wants to work on something, they say, "I've got this idea," and do they hand it over to you, and then you do? Do you do those sort of collaborations too?
Well, James, who wrote The Manifestation of Trim Tab Jim, we had a long walk just before lockdown. Actually, before all this happened, there was ice on a lake, so it must have been January 2019. No, 2020. And he wants to write the 3rd story, because the first one, I have to look it up. It's here on the wall. Sorry. The Reincarnation of Trim Tab Jim was the first one, and The Manifestation of Trim Tab Jim was the second one. So he wants to write the 3rd one. So he asked me to help him think about it. And we walked and talked for about 3 hours. And in the end, I said something, and he said, "Oh, that's it. How did you come up with that?" And I said, "Well, because we talked for 3 hours, there it is, crystallized." And then lockdown happened, because it was meant to be in the Fringe, either this year, but he's a very busy man. Not just a wonderful singer and writer, he's also a teacher at a university in London. Very busy.
But that
was nice, when it just happened, when we just crystallized it into this is what the story is for the 3rd.
Yeah. But hopefully that will come out eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I should hope so.
Yeah.
2 years maybe.
It is. I do think that writing is like magic. It is alchemy. Bringington says, "I love to write. I find writing a letter or sending a card is such a personal act. It's like giving the recipient a hug." Quite often I won't send. This may sound really cheap, but I won't send gifts or anything. But I will write something. Whether it be a poem that's obviously it's mine, so it's not very good. But I think I like the things that money can't buy. And I think that's what writing is. You can't buy those sort of emotions that come out of somebody's head around that. So do you are you like that with cards and things like that? Do you find yourself cherishing those things that when people write to you as well?
Yeah, I keep everything. I keep all those lovely messages, and I keep all the emails as well. I would never delete a personal message. I hang on to them.
So on my phone, I think I've got like 120,000 emails because I don't delete anything at all. It is a real curse. What do you consume, as in what are you reading now, and also what do you watch in terms of film and theatre? What do you like?
Oh, pretty much everything except for horrible murder things. I sort of don't like to see that anymore. Dead people in my living room are beginning to wear me down. But I don't live on my own, so I have to watch what my husband wants to watch. And usually we enjoy comedy together, like Inside Number 9 last night.
Yeah.
And I did a Commedia dell'arte play a few years ago, so I know those characters really well. And my husband started watching it without me because I was talking to my actors, and then he stopped it. And when I came downstairs, he said, "You have to watch this with me because you're going to love it."
Yeah. And
of course I did. And then we watched Motherland, so and political comedy as well. And of course we watched Jesus Maria, Joseph and the Wee Donkey, that one.
Yeah.
So I think we're very lucky to have the BBC, because German television is nowhere near as good as English. When I go back to Germany, I'm always horrified at the rubbish. And I just read novels, preferably by women, but that's just me loving women writers. So people like Barbara Kingsolver, she's my favorite, and Jenny Diskey, Doris Lessing. Yeah, I just love reading.
Well, why the women writers? It's a competition between men and women, but what is the difference? Is it the sensitivities? Is it the thought flow? Is it the ideas? What's the difference?
The stories interest me more.
Yeah.
When I was young, I read more men. I read tons of science fiction. I loved Heinlein and Asimov and Dune and all that. And Douglas Adams, I absolutely adored Douglas Adams. I still adore him, long gone. But once I discovered women writers, I thought somehow that interests me more. You know, I'm not dissing men writers at all. I read, but it's about 70-30% that I read women.
Yeah, there's definitely a different energy, you know, with that you can sense. And obviously I'm speaking only from a male perspective, but there's definitely a different energy. And I think you can also see that in film directors. You know, there's a different energy, even in, you know, action movies and things like that. You can feel no better or no worse. It's just a different energy, and I think you either get drawn one way or the other. I speak about this a lot, so I'm a big fan of Mark Rylance, but he speaks about female.
He's wonderful.
Yeah, he speaks about womb energy and you know, the female energy, and a lot of his acting is from that place of not the masculine strength energy. It's that sort of womb. And he tells this story. He said, when I'm performing live, I want the whole audience to be in the womb with me, you know, and he uses that expression. He said, so he's not performing to them. He says he wants them to be part of it, and I just love that. And I think that's the energy of a book sometimes as well. It's great. So with your own acting, is it something you'll go back to?
No. I mean, I have a tiny part in this play because we couldn't really afford the sixth actor. So I have about, 15 lines because somebody needed to say those lines and everybody else is already in that bit of the play. But yeah. So it doesn't interest me very much.
Saskia, what's going to happen when you walk on stage and everybody's shouting, author, author?
No, that would really destroy the scene. No, I'm just somebody else for a few minutes there.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not going to go, oh, there's Saskia. She can't act very well. They're just going to go, oh, okay, Liz is on the phone. That's my character calling a helpline.
Really?
No, I really wouldn't want that.
In terms of actors and people you like watching, who are your favourites and why do you like them? Oh God, Carey Mulligan is by far my favourite. I saw her as a very young woman on television in something with Stephen Tomlinson, I think, Tomlinson. And I remember saying to my husband, we need to look up her name. She is amazing. And of course, now everybody knows that she's amazing, but there was a luminosity to her. I was just talent spotting. I thought, wow, look at what this girl is doing. And I've always been a big fan of Olivia Colman, which is easy now, but I saw Green Wing. I saw her in Green Wing and in Mitchell and Webb. And I always thought, I like that woman. She had such a small part, especially in Green Wing. She had the baby in the drawer. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's she again. There's her again. So I really like her. I love Diana Rigg, and I love Diana Rigg's daughter, Rachel Sterling. Oh, she is wonderful. And I didn't know she was Diana Rigg's daughter. I saw her in something and then in something else. And then I saw her in Detectorist. And I said to my husband, there she is again. I like that actress. And Diana Rigg played her mother in that. And I finally worked out that she is.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I do vaguely remember that piece. It's interesting that you mentioned Olivia Colman, because that sort of fits in with your naturalistic feel, because she is, completely believable in everything, she does, and she's a very much an every person. Even when she played the Queen, you're going, it's like she's a friend, sort of thing. It's
So did you read the interview with her? she gets the giggles so badly that she had to have earplugs in so she couldn't hear what people were saying to her as the queen, because she would always giggle.
No.
So she couldn't hear what they were saying, so she couldn't keep a straight face.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Wow. Yeah,
I've read it somewhere in the newspaper.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look at. I'm really interested to see her in The Father. It's a new one with Anthony Hopkins.
I've seen that play. I would struggle to watch that because my mother died of Alzheimer's, and I've actually seen the play on stage, and I don't really want to see it again, even if Olivia's in it.
Well, it's funny. My wife's mum, she passed from Alzheimer's, you know, and I've been questioning myself to should we watch it and everything, because obviously it stirs up a lot of feelings. I've seen the previews and everything, and you know, from the cast in it, you know, I think if we could watch it as a piece of that, you go, whoa, it's very powerful, and she is amazing in it, absolutely brilliant.
Oh, she is.
Yeah,
she is. I've written a very short Alzheimer play, and we've read it twice on Zoom, and both times I cried, and so I said, let's not put it in this show. I don't want to keep thinking about it.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, you know, it's powerful, I think, particularly when you've got those, I'm going to call them weapons, but more tools, that you've got those experience and you've got the gift of writing, that it's good to put those things out there for other people who are maybe going through those things. I think it's, you know, it'd be great. Carl says...
Because people joke about Alzheimer's still, and I just hate it. It's just not funny anymore.
Yeah, you know, I think it's it's one of those things that unless you've experienced it and you don't realize how it changes. I'm a big fan of Glenn Campbell, the country singer, and he had Alzheimer's, and the family and him, he went on tour towards the end of his life, and you know, he was forgetting words. But the interesting thing was, when he played, he was perfect, and you know, he could sing and the words. It was only those times when he wasn't in that creative zone that he did forget and you know, things. But when he was on stage, it was, the magic was still there. So it was that's a great I think it's like a documentary, so it's a great one if you ever get around to watching it. Carl says Olivia was brilliant in a series called Fleabag. I can vaguely remember that.
Oh yeah. Gosh, she played mother, the stepmom.
Yeah. And Connor Breen says, I saw an interview with Rufus Norris. Her biggest fear is being on stage. I can feel that sometimes. Yeah. How are you with receiving compliments and adulation?
Yeah, I love it, but I find it difficult. I'm not good at just going, thank you. I always come up with an excuse why that worked. Difficult.
Yeah, it is, and I think a lot of creatives are like that. It's like that humility that we want the adulation, but then we go, no, I don't really. It's not, you know, and it's like the humility, isn't it? You know, around that.
Well, last year before lockdown, so December and January 19 to 20, I had a show that I had hardly any time to rehearse. So it was, I think it was the Thursday before we opened on Friday or Saturday that I finally saw it. It had 3 choirs and lots of dancing children and beautifully colorful it was. And I stood there, it was in a church in Brighton, in St. Martin's. And suddenly there it was. And I said, my vision, there's my vision. Finally, I can see it. And I think I said that 3 times. And I think some people went, shut up. Not to my face, but they were getting so fed up with me going, it's there, I finally, because you know, I'd worked on it for half a year, almost longer than that. And suddenly there it was. I was so amazed. And I thought, okay, in Germany, people go, well done. And in England, they go, all right. Stop blowing the trumpet, it is not polite. But I was over the moon. I was just so happy.
You've got to love those cultural differences, you know, and the way that it's great. Gillian says that you go bright red and bashful and then turns her back.
I know, it's horrible.
It's
I do that. When I get excited, I get more and more red. I hate it, but that's what happens.
We've spoken a little bit about cultural differences there. What's it like writing for a German audience or an English audience? Do you have to tailor your work to the two different types of audience, or is it the same as writing to an older audience or a younger audience? How does that work? Are you conscious of it?
You know, no, actually, I'm not. I am not. I always write as me. So the older I get, the older my imagined audience is, I think. I've written a lot for children and some pantos, which are always, you know, aimed at children and at adults. And I've written a play called Munchbox about healthy eating, which was very much aimed at school children to have fun with. And I don't know if unless I'm you know, directly writing for someone. I'm just writing for an idealized audience, I think. And I would never not write something unless I knew who it was for and go, oh yeah, nobody's going to understand this. I write just because it has to be like this. You know, I would not go, oh, this is now too complicated, take it back. Yeah, and whether German or English makes no difference to me right now.
Yeah.
But then I don't write in German much anymore. I've even written a novel about myself in English, and a German friend of mine said, I'm finding it hard to read it. And I'm like, tough, yeah. You want to read it, it's in English.
And is that just a balance of time? That have you spent more time in the UK than in Germany, or do you find?
Yeah, I've lived here for 26 years.
Right. Okay.
I am German. I have a passport, but I am now English as far as I'm concerned.
I love it. And you would say that in your spoken language and your thinking language, is that mainly in English now as well?
Yeah, I talk German to my older daughter a lot because she is fluent, and I like to keep that going with her.
Yes.
And I've got my sister, and we speak German. And I found the other day I was listening to something really exciting in German in the car. It used to be my favorite author from many years ago. Here he is, Arno Schmidt. He's one of the craziest German authors ever lived. And I discovered on my shelf that I had 5 CDs of him reading his own works. And his language is absolutely incredible. He translated James Joyce and Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, he's that good.
Wow.
So I was listening to this while I was driving to work and back. And suddenly, like I said earlier, you know, I get really influenced by what I read and hear. And yesterday I was digging at the allotment, and in my head, I was speaking in his language, in German, about the dirt under my fingernails, and it just kept going. It was bouncing out of my brain, and I thought, I wish I was recording this, because it was quite exciting how, because he read very complicated language, and he makes up new words, and he digresses. So suddenly I was in a German mode, and I actually said to my actors at the rehearsal on Saturday, I said, if I suddenly speak German, that'll be why, because I've been listening in the car on the way here to this completely fascinating language.
So is that?
But apart from letters, I don't really write in German, except I'm doing a big translation. No, I'm translating German into English. Yeah,
it just
right.
merges into one.
It totally merges. Yeah, I can switch from one to the other seamlessly. I can plötzlich Deutsch reden, und das macht überhaupt keinen Unterschied.
Oh man, it's like
I am. My brain is 100% bilingual.
Yeah, it's like a German-English stream of consciousness flowing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Except sometimes I can't think of a word at all, and it's usually a Latinate word that starts in D, like destabilize or desensitize. Suddenly I am just stuck on the D, and the rest won't come. And then I have to just say the words that are wrong until the right one arrives, which is just really frustrating.
That's just maybe a wrong connection somewhere. That's it, you know.
I mean, today I was at work and I held up a thing, and I said to my daughter, she volunteers where I work, I said, what is this? And she said, it's a petticoat. And I said, no, what's the real word? And then I went, crinoline. But for 10 seconds, the word crinoline was not available to me, even though I knew exactly it was a crinoline.
Yeah, but come on, that's not an everyday word that we would.
It is if you work in theatre costumes, darling.
Well, my wife is probably watching this because she's a seamstress, and she's probably going, I use that. I use that.
Yeah. I work for Gladrax Costumes in Brighton.
Ah, right, good. Yeah, give them a plug.
Deputy store manager there, because even successful writers need a day job, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. You know, actors, it's the same.
Yes.
That'll be interesting. I expect a call from my wife because she is currently costuming 2 shows, and she's you know, so she'll be calling you. Say, oh yeah, good. Right.
Yeah,
Says,
I mean, we are a costume hire place, and everybody's welcome as long as they make an appointment.
Yeah, good. Don't tell her that.
Which reminds me, somebody called today, and I didn't call them back. Tomorrow morning.
I could feel a story coming on about a missed appointment.
Constantly.
Yeah.
They're not all worth writing.
Ryan says, I love Germany when I toured there. Yeah, many moons ago, we used to tour Germany and do a lot of the military bases with a show. So northern Germany, I used to love up there. It's good.
Sadly, it stops in Münster, the English soldiers, and I'm from much further up north, and there weren't any when I grew up.
Well, we used to do Essen, Munster.
That's not the north.
Bielefeld. That's yeah. So it was.
It's the middle.
The middle.
As far as I'm concerned, that's not the north.
Yeah. Well, for me, there's only 2 halves. So you know, and we used to go on a weekend and we'd travel on a Friday night. Travel overnight, work on the Saturday, and then travel back and arrive back on the Sunday just to do 2 or 3 gigs. It was like exhausting. You know, it was great. Writer says every person we met there was so welcoming, and then Brianden's written something there in German, and I'm sorry, I don't speak another language, so you will have to translate that. Something about perfect for.
I can't see it. Should I be able to see
Yeah, there may be some comments. I think it's something about an airline, perfect Flugbett for Lufthansa Machen. I don't know that.
There's even. It says you would be perfect cabin crew for Lufthansa.
I sort of got a little bit.
Thank you, Connor. That's very kind of you. My daughter's actually cabin crew for British Airways. Except, and she's just, you know, as active as me, but right now, of course, she's not flying because of COVID and all that rubbish. So she's desperately waiting to get in the air.
There was once, and people may have heard this story before, but I remember going for a part of the Big Bopper when I was younger in the Buddy Holly story, the musical, and it was for a touring version in Germany. But the Big Bopper only had a couple of lines to say in German, so I thought, you know, I could get that down. So I went for the audition. I was late. I was on the wrong day. Blah blah blah. I forgot the words and everything, and I sang the Big Bopper's song. And then they said, "Can you say these 2 phrases in German?" So I was reading it parrot fashion, you know, and they done it phonetically for me. And you know, as a young man, I said, "So how was that?" And the guy said, "That was the worst German accent I've ever heard in my life." So yeah.
Oh, what a shame.
Needless to say,
I wish I'd known you then. I could have trained you.
Yeah, needless to say, I didn't get the job.
I used to train opera singers, American opera singers, to speak German. That was fun.
Wow, yeah. That's is there anything that you don't do?
Brain surgery and rocket science.
I think if you put your mind to it, I think you know, you could definitely.
I wanted to be a surgeon when I was young, but I faint at the sight of blood. Not anymore, but I used to.
Now you're a word surgeon, so that's fine. Saskia,
safer on everybody.
Yeah, it's great. Listen, it's been brilliant. We've been speaking for about 70 minutes there. It's an absolute delight to speak to you. What a fascinating person you are, and it's just brilliant. Would you mind? Could you wrap up for us and tell us again the times and the dates of the play, and where we can see it and where we can book tickets? I think Gillian said 2 dates are sold out now, and indeed tell us where we can maybe read some more of your work or see it on YouTube. If you can let us know all that, that would be great.
Yeah. So the play is called Love in the time of lockdown. It's right now 1 hour long because that was the only slot that was left at Sweet Venues in Brighton in Middle Street. We're performing it at 8:30 in the evening on the 4th and 5th and 6th of June, and also on the 14th of June, because that was the only date they had left for me to book at the very last minute. We are hoping to take it on tour. We'll be crowdfunding very, very soon, and we are hoping to take it to the Edinburgh Festival, because everybody who hears the stories thinks, I have something to say just like it, and this is so important that we talk about it. There are quite a few mental health issues in my play, but it's also quite funny and light and cheeky and naughty. So, you know, there's a lot in it, and it's very much for people over 16, because it's very naughty at times. The actors are totally wonderful. If you want to know more, you can look at the Sweet Venues website. Oh, look, there's Martina giving you the dates in writing. And also on my website, saskiavesnik.net, and watch out for the spelling. The whole homepage is about this production. We are called SwanWing's Production, SwanWing Productions. And we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, though there's not too much there yet, but there will be more and more and more. And the actors are beautiful, wonderful, talented, so much fun to watch. So do come and see it.
That'll be amazing. And if you can, please, Saskia, if you will give me all those links on a message when we finish here,
yeah.
I'll put them all in the comments, and then it'll be on the IGTV for people to watch later, and send me anything, and I'll plug it as much as I can, and I'm sure that people out there will do the same. Brilliant says,
German comment.
Yeah, he says, I have loved getting to know Saskia. Thank you for your time this evening. And another comment, which I can't read. What does that say then?
It says, I will soon see the show and I wish you luck with it.
Yeah, cool. So there's Tina, Martina also putting on the links and everything. Martina, if you can also send me those links, I'll put them in the IGTV, so they'll be burned into the video, and people will be able to click on them and go straight there. But it's just absolutely brilliant. Thank you for stepping in at the last minute. It's
thank you so much for having me.
Everything happens for a reason, and it'll be great. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to get the time to come and see your brilliant work, and also Gillian as well. So we need to give a big up to Gillian, because Gillian was the one who connected us. So thank you very much for that, Gillian. And Jonathan says, superb, Saskia. Thank you very much. So great people out there. Can you show the love there, please, for our brilliant guest this evening, Saskia, and all her brilliant actors and everything. It's been great, and I hope when you do your next work, I hope you'd come back on again, and we'll have another chat, and you can share that with us.
Thank you. I will.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I say this every evening. I'm sorry, Saskia. You have to press the X button, because I can't, as much as I'd love to speak to you all night long. So unceremoniously, you have to leave yourself.
Okay, bye.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Bye.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Just totally brilliant there. A last minute guest, and what a lady, prolific in her output of writing, just creative all of the time, brilliant, and also local to me. So anybody on the South Coast, get in touch. I'll put the links in about the play that's on, and when the crowdfunding comes out. This is a person who is somebody who is prolific, been writing for a long time, worked and honed their craft to come up with some great stuff. Now, we should be revering and really supporting these people. So when the crowdfunding comes out, if you can, if at all, let's help out financially. Everything things cost money, or if you know somebody, share it on your social channels, because quite often that has even a better effect than just giving once and not sharing it with anybody. So share like crazy, and let's get this on tour, and let's get this stuff down, because I think it's speaking to a lot of people. Brilliant. Thank you, Carl. Carl says, very interesting. Good luck with everything, says Carl. Brilliant. Lots of hands there. Great to hear about your writing writing successes. And yay, Julie, because I know Brian didn't work sometimes there. Jonathan says, superb, Saskia. Brilliant. So good stuff. I think it's Tina or Martina. Martina, if you could send me those links, I'll put them on this IGTV. Brilliant stuff. Hey, thanks very much for watching tonight. Hope you've enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed it because writing is something that I love. I don't do it, but obviously being an actor, it's something that is just brilliant. It's like the dark arts to me. It's like the dark arts. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. for another brilliant guest on. Have a lovely day tomorrow. Spread the word if you can, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Thanks very much. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye. Thank you, Saskia. Yeah, send it to me on the message and we'll put it on there. London Actors Workshop just joined. We're just finishing, but you'll be able to watch a little bit later on. By the way, tomorrow night at 9 o'clock as well, there's 2 actors talk acting, something like that. It's the guys from Unstoppable Acting and the Actors Toolbox. They do a little show around about 9 o'clock. So once you've watched this show at 8, jump onto theirs at 9 because it's great insights for actors out there. So a big plug up for them. And also check out London Actors Workshop. They are also brilliant, but they do online courses that last a good few weeks, but excellent. So have a chat with John there too. Brilliant. See you soon too. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye for now. Good night. Good night. Good night.